it's great over independently, but when they're feeding off each other, you have to do a little bit less.
So 1 squared plus 2 squared. No, 1 squared, 1 squared equals C. So 2 squared, therefore C equals so root 2 squared.
You never know. You know, when you say somebody doesn't look Jewish, it's nonsense. It's in your heart what you are and how you're raised. Okay, let's see if this fits.
But should I make clouds?
I don't think so. It's
then
a
I'll make
blue or
this
gray,
darker.
and I wanted to.
It's good. But then the water, I'll make it dark. Like other gray.
I'm actually not in this class.
That's right. Am I done with it?
I love it. And you did the acrylic like watercolor, which is perfect.
People
Okay, now you need to write something under it. We're entering a Holocaust contest for Yom HaShoah. And Joelle just made a beautiful skin tone.
It's beautiful.
Yes, write the path to tolerance, the path to
Hi, Mira.
Hi there.
to never again
What are you making?
is tolerance.
I'm making a collage of people from memories in the Holocaust.
The
What kind of
path
people?
to-
People from the magazine.
Let's see.
But
Famous
here,
people.
what's the idea of it? It's on tolerance. That all people
Tolerance.
get along.
Sabanut.
That's right, and she's gonna write Sabanut.
Now, a body cavity is different from having a space, just a space. Because remember the jellyfish, you can see them. They all have a space within them, but it's not really a body cavity. When we were talking about a body cavity in embryology, we mean like a space for your heart and your lungs to develop, something like that. So the difference here is okay. So these guys don't develop a body cavity, but they do have 3 layers of tissue.
Like Nidarians, do they have like hearts and brains?
Do Nidarians have hearts and brains? They have a nerve net. They don't have a central nervous system or a circulatory system. But as we go on, you'll see each group has something quite unique and special to it, and that's what. And hopefully, if we do it on a big scale like this, it'll make sense in terms of the evolution. Like this is the first thing that has a nervous system. This is the most primitive animal that has 3 layers of tissue, and that sort of around. This is the first one that has anything like a body space. This is the first one that has segments. Have you ever seen how, like a lobster has segments too? The lobsters are more advanced. You have segments too. Have you ever heard of somebody having a heart attack and them getting a pain in their shoulder? It's like a referred pain. Have you ever heard of referred pain?
Yeah.
It's to do with dermatomes and how your body develops in segments. So the nerves that supply the skin on the shoulder also were the tissue that was once originally part of the formation of your heart. So you're feeling pain in your shoulder, but it's also coming from your heart, and that happens from segments. And when you look at an earthworm, it's very easy to see all the segments. But when you look at something like us or a dog, we're far more advanced, and we don't still display those segments. But these are all stages in the evolution. So, last thing I'm going to say is let's pull up a picture of those.
Can you give me an example of, do you have some of your data with you? Can you give me an example? Okay.
So like Mentos, like watermelon Mentos versus strawberry Mentos.
Oh, strawberry, okay. Okay, and they weren't able to see what they were tasting, and they weren't able to smell what they were tasting. They had held their nose, or had a clothespin over their nose. Okay, so it was no smell, no sight. If they could tell the difference between 2 flavors that are roughly, that aren't that easy to tell apart.
Right.
Right, so we're kind of see that when your senses get dulled, whether your taste is able to distinguish between 2 different things. Okay? And then, so how many people did this taste test?
15.
15, okay? So you have your test subjects. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc., all the way down to 15. Okay, and then you would have whether or not they could tell the difference, right?
Right.
So she didn't have a numerical scale. She just recorded whether or not they could tell the difference. So it's basically a yes/no, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. So what we would have is basically, for each one, it would be like yes, no, okay? So let's say, do you have your actual number?
So, the cognitive triad, and again, focus on college. So if your view of yourself is, I don't deserve to be in college. If your view of the world is, my classmates think I'm stupid, and if your view of the future is, I can't pass this class, then the negative schema, the negative pattern that you put together of all of those is, I can't do well at anything. It becomes even more global. So this is one particular approach. It's clearly this cognitive approach, but with a very specific focus on how do you view yourself, how do you explain the situation, and how do you see the future. So Beck's one of the very first ones to introduce this idea of understanding, reflecting on, being aware of our own thinking. Not too long afterwards, we should maybe get somebody in representing this approach, stress inoculation training, right? It's focused at training people in a more specific way to restructure their thinking about stressful situations, called stress inoculation. So, they would take people and basically, go back here. All right, so you're faced with the test, you're freaking yourself out about it. They would help you in that situation. So this is very situation specific, not real broad, but situation specific. You get freaked out in exams, you're dealing with test anxiety. What do you learn how to do? You learn to change your thinking style, relax, okay? And probably they've had help in learning relaxation techniques. The exam may be hard, but it's hard for everyone. I'm not the only one sitting here feeling panic, right? I studied harder than most. I don't need a perfect score.